18 ships left the port of La Rochelle in France. It was the 12th of October 1307. Destination unknown. They have never been found. That is not the strange part. The strange part is what was on them, and who knew they were leaving. Philip IV of France had spent 2 years planning. It was the most coordinated arrest operation in medieval history. He had the warrants, he had the soldiers, he had the Pope, and still the fleet sailed the night before his men arrived. Someone inside the order knew, and they moved the money first. You know the version of this story where the Templars were warrior monks crushed by a jealous king. That version is true. It is also incomplete. It leaves out the thing that made Philip desperate enough to destroy them. The Knights Templar were not a military order that happened to do banking. They were a financial empire that happened to fight. And by 1307, Philip IV owed them more than he could ever repay. That is the part the story leaves out. Go back to 1119. 9 knights in Jerusalem. No money, almost no equipment. Their seal showed 2 men sharing 1 horse. Not a symbol of brotherhood, a statement of poverty. They had almost nothing. Within a decade, they had everything. Bernard of Clairvaux wrote their rule in 1129. He was the most powerful religious voice in Europe. His endorsement did not just legitimize the Templars. It opened every treasury in Christendom to them. Land poured in, castles, ships, ports. Within a generation, they controlled hundreds of properties from Scotland to the Holy Land. They had their own roads, their own courts, their own legal immunity. They answered only to the Pope. But the weapon that made them untouchable was not a sword. It was a letter. A pilgrim travelling to Jerusalem in 1150 carried gold. Gold was heavy. Bandits on the roads from Paris to Marseille knew exactly who to target. Pilgrims died for their coin purses every week. The Templars solved this. You walked into a Templar house in Paris. You deposited your gold. You received a letter, written in code, bearing a unique mark. You carried nothing else. You arrived at a Templar house in Jerusalem. You presented the letter. You collected an equivalent sum, no gold on the road, no robbery. That letter was a letter of credit. It is the direct ancestor of the modern bank transfer. The Templars had invented international finance. Within 50 years, they were bankers to every king and pope in Europe. Their vaults in Paris held more wealth than most kingdoms. Philip IV of France was one of their largest clients. He owed them a sum he could not repay in his lifetime. If this is the kind of history you are looking for, the version underneath the version everyone knows, subscribe now. By 1300, the Crusades were over. The Holy Land was lost. The military reason the Templars existed had gone. Their critics asked the question openly, what are they for now? Rich, powerful, answerable to no king, and no longer needed. Philip saw his moment. He spent 3 years building his case. The charges were heresy, idol worship, spitting on the cross. He knew they were false. It did not matter. What mattered was that he needed a French pope to make the charges stick. In 1305, he engineered exactly that. Clement V moved the papacy from Rome to Avignon in France, under French influence. Philip now controlled the church and the accusation. On the 12th of October 1307, orders went out all over France. The arrests would happen simultaneously. Every Templar, every house, every vault, at the same hour. The Grand Master was Jacques de Molay, 63 years old. He had been warned. Multiple sources had told him Philip was moving. He stayed in Paris anyway. He believed the Pope would protect the order. The Pope had given him assurances. That trust destroyed him. Under torture, Templar after Templar confessed. De Molay confessed. He later recanted. The confession had been extracted by pain, but it did not matter. The Pope dissolved the order in 1312. De Molay burned at the stake in 1314 on a small island in the Seine, facing Notre Dame. From the flames, he named Clement and Philip as guilty. He cursed them both. Within a year, Clement was dead. 7 months later, Philip was dead. Both dead inside 12 months of de Molay's burning. Coincidence? Almost certainly. But the timing shook France to its foundations. Here is where the standard account says it ends. Philip won. The order was dissolved, the treasure was seized. Justice, of a corrupt kind, was done. Except Philip did not get what he came for. His men arrived at the Paris treasury. largely empty. Someone had moved it. His men arrived at La Rochelle. The 18 ships were gone. Sailed the night before, into the dark, loaded with something worth hiding. Destination unknown. Philip spent the rest of his life looking for what those ships carried. He never found it. The banking system the Templars built did not vanish with them. It reorganized. The letter of credit, the international network, the principle that wealth could move without weight. These things survived the order that invented them, and became the foundation of European finance. The institution was destroyed. The idea was not. Every video here takes a story you think you know, and finds the part that got left out. One story, one surprising truth, and the details that change how you see it. If that sounds like your kind of history, subscribe and the next one will find you.